April 18th, 1906, 5:12 a.m. Enrico Caruso, the world's greatest opera tenor, wakes in his suite at the Palace Hotel in San Francisco, thrown from his bed by violent shaking. The ornate chandeliers swing wildly, the walls crack, glass shatters. For 45 seconds, the ground convulses beneath the city with a force later estimated at magnitude 7.9. When the shaking stops, Caruso stumbles to his window and looks out onto a changed San Francisco. Buildings have collapsed. Streets are buckled and torn. And then he sees the fires beginning. Small flames in multiple locations across the city, spreading rapidly. Over the next 3 days, those fires will consume what the earthquake did not destroy, burning through 500 city blocks, leaving 250,000 people homeless and killing an estimated 3,000. This is the story of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, the disaster that collapsed a city, the firestorm that burned it to the ground, and the catastrophe that taught America that earthquakes do not just shake buildings, they break water mains, rupture gas lines, and turn cities into infernos when firefighters have no water to fight the flames. To understand the 1906 earthquake, we need to examine the San Andreas Fault, a 750-mile fracture in Earth's crust running through California. The fault marks the boundary between the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate, two massive sections of Earth's crust grinding past each other. The Pacific Plate is moving northwest relative to North America at about 2 inches per year. Usually this movement is gradual and continuous, but sometimes friction locks the plates together. Stress builds over decades or centuries. Then suddenly the locked section ruptures, releasing all that accumulated stress in seconds. That is an earthquake. By 1906, stress has been building along the northern San Andreas Fault for generations. San Francisco sits just 10 miles from the fault line, close enough that when it ruptures, the shaking will be catastrophic. But in 1906, earthquake science barely exists. The concept of plate tectonics will not be developed for another 60 years. People know earthquakes happen, but they do not understand why or how to predict them. San Francisco has experienced earthquakes before, most recently in 1898, but nothing approaching what is coming. At 5:12 in the morning on April 18th, the San Andreas Fault ruptures along a 296-mile section from San Juan Bautista to Cape Mendocino. The rupture propagates at over 2 miles per second. The ground on opposite sides of the fault shifts horizontally by up to 20 feet. The energy released equals approximately 8 megatons of TNT. The shaking is felt across an area of 200,000 square miles, from Oregon to Los Angeles, and from the Pacific Ocean to Nevada. In San Francisco, the shaking is violent and prolonged. The initial shock lasts 45 to 60 seconds, an eternity in earthquake time. Buildings sway. Unreinforced masonry structures, brick buildings without steel reinforcement, begin collapsing immediately. Walls crack and crumble. Roofs cave in. Chimneys topple, crashing through roofs onto people sleeping below. Wooden buildings fare better, but are severely damaged. The ground itself tears open in places, with cracks and fissures appearing in streets. The damage is immediate and widespread. City Hall, a grand Beaux-Arts structure, is gutted. The dome remains, but the interior collapses. The Valencia Street Hotel, a 4-story wooden building in the Mission District, pancakes. The ground floor collapses, dropping upper floors down and trapping residents. Dozens die, crushed in their beds. Throughout the city, unreinforced brick buildings collapse, killing occupants. The initial death toll from the earthquake itself is estimated at several hundred, with people killed by collapsing buildings, falling debris, and structural failures. But the earthquake's direct casualties are just the beginning. The real disaster is what comes next: fire. San Francisco in 1906 is a tinderbox. Buildings are primarily wood, Gas lines run throughout the city. And critically, the earthquake ruptures water mains all across San Francisco, destroying the city's ability to fight fires. When gas lines break and ignite, from overturned stoves, sparks, exposed flames, there is no water to extinguish them. Within minutes of the earthquake, fires are burning in multiple locations. South of Market, a woman cooking breakfast has her chimney collapse. Hot coals scatter, igniting her wooden building. The fire spreads rapidly. In the Mission District, ruptured gas lines ignite. Downtown, in the Financial District, fires start in damaged buildings. And firefighters responding to these blazes discover a nightmare. When they connect hoses to hydrants, nothing comes out. The water mains are broken. The city's water supply is gone. Fire Chief Dennis Sullivan, who might have coordinated an effective response, is fatally injured when the earthquake causes the California hotel chimney to crash through the fire station where he is sleeping. He dies days later from his injuries. Without his leadership and without water, San Francisco's firefighters are nearly helpless. They attempt to fight fires with water from the bay, but the pumping capacity is inadequate. They try dynamiting buildings to create fire breaks, but often do so incompetently, spreading fire rather than stopping it. Over the next 3 days, the fires merge and grow into a firestorm. The South of Market fire spreads north and east. The Mission fire spreads in all directions. The fires meet and become one massive conflagration, consuming block after block. The fire burns so hot, it creates its own wind, sucking air into the inferno. Temperatures reach 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt glass, warp steel, and turn brick to powder. Residents flee ahead of the flames, carrying whatever they can save. Photographs from the disaster show people with suitcases, trunks, and bundles, walking away from walls of smoke and fire. Some attempt to save their homes by hosing them down with water from private wells or cisterns, but it is futile against a firestorm. The fire consumes everything: mansions on Nob Hill, tenements south of Market, Chinatown, the Financial District. Entire neighborhoods simply cease to exist. The wealthy attempt to save their property through connections and bribery. Nob Hill mansion owners convince army troops to dynamite nearby buildings to create fire breaks protecting their estates. But the fire does not respect wealth. Despite these efforts, Nob Hill burns. The mansions of railroad barons and mining magnates are reduced to ash and rubble like everything else. The human stories are harrowing. Families are separated in the chaos. Parents lose children in crowds of fleeing refugees. Some people return to burning buildings to rescue trapped loved ones and die in the attempt. Others watch helplessly as homes that hold generations of possessions burn. The disaster is indiscriminate. Rich and poor, Chinese immigrants and native-born Americans each flee the same fires and lose their homes. Golden Gate Park and the Presidio become massive refugee camps, housing tens of thousands of displaced residents. Tents are erected. Soup kitchens are established. The Army, under General Frederick Funston, imposes martial law and provides tents, food, and security. Conditions in the camps are difficult, with overcrowding, inadequate sanitation, and limited food. Disease becomes a concern. Families that lost everything huddle in tents, uncertain of their future. The fire finally burns itself out on April 21st, after consuming approximately 500 city blocks, with over 28,000 buildings destroyed. The burned area covers about 4.7 square miles of the most densely developed parts of San Francisco. Entire districts are gone, including Chinatown, the Financial District, south of Market, Russian Hill, and Telegraph Hill. What remains is a wasteland of rubble, twisted metal, and ash. The death toll is difficult to determine precisely. Official estimates at the time claimed about 700 dead, but historians now believe the true toll is much higher, approximately 3,000 deaths. The undercount was deliberate. City officials and business leaders, eager to downplay the disaster to encourage rebuilding and investment, suppressed the true casualty figures. Deaths among Chinese immigrants and among the poor were particularly undercounted, their lives deemed less important and their deaths less worthy of recording. The economic impact was staggering. Property damage exceeded $400 million in 1906 dollars, and that is over $10 billion today. 80% of San Francisco was destroyed. The city's population, about 400,000 before the earthquake, dropped to 342,000 as residents fled and did not return. Insurance companies faced catastrophic losses. Some paid claims, others went bankrupt or refused to pay, claiming earthquake damage was not covered, only fire damage was. The disaster exposed deep inequalities. Chinatown was completely destroyed, and when rebuilding began, some officials and developers sought to relocate Chinese residents and redevelop the valuable land for white businesses. Only through political organizing and legal action did Chinese residents secure the right to rebuild Chinatown in its original location. Poor residents in South of Market received less aid and attention than wealthier areas. The recovery reflected and reinforced existing class and racial hierarchies. San Francisco does rebuild, and remarkably quickly. Within 3 years, much of the city is rebuilt. Within a decade, the burned districts are filled with new buildings. The 1915 Panama Pacific International Exposition showcases the rebuilt city to the world. The speed of recovery becomes a point of civic pride. San Francisco rises from the ashes. The earthquake also drives scientific advances. The disaster prompts serious study of earthquakes and fault mechanics. The Lawson Report, a comprehensive scientific analysis published in 1908, becomes a foundational text in seismology. Scientists begin understanding how fault ruptures cause earthquakes. This eventually leads to plate tectonics theory and modern earthquake science. Building codes are reformed. The disaster proves that unreinforced masonry is deadly in earthquakes. New codes require steel reinforcement, better construction practices, and designs that can withstand shaking. These changes make future buildings more earthquake-resistant, though enforcement is inconsistent and older buildings remain vulnerable. The fire protection lessons are perhaps most critical. The 1906 disaster proves that earthquakes destroy water systems, leaving cities unable to fight fires. This leads to development of auxiliary water systems specifically for firefighting, including the system of cisterns and high-pressure water lines still used in San Francisco today. The idea that post-earthquake fires may be more deadly than the earthquake itself becomes fundamental to disaster planning. 118 years later, the 1906 San Francisco earthquake remains one of the deadliest natural disasters in United States history. An estimated 3,000 people died, a toll that exceeds nearly every other earthquake in United States history. The disaster fundamentally changed San Francisco, destroyed Chinatown, displaced 250,000 people, and demonstrated the catastrophic potential of earthquakes along the San Andreas Fault. The question of when it will happen again haunts California. The San Andreas Fault continues moving, and stress continues building. Seismologists know another major earthquake is inevitable, not if, but when. Modern San Francisco is better prepared with building codes, emergency plans, and auxiliary water systems. But the city remains vulnerable. Older buildings predating modern codes still stand. The population is much larger, and the economic value at risk is exponentially greater. April 18, 1906, taught San Francisco and the United States that earthquakes collapse buildings, but fires destroy cities. 45 seconds of shaking can rupture the water mains needed to fight the fires that follow. The disaster exposes and exacerbates existing inequalities, with the poor and marginalized suffering most. 3,000 people died learning these lessons. A city burned for 3 days. The San Andreas Fault, which caused it all, remains active, building stress, waiting to rupture again. The 1906 earthquake, the disaster that collapsed San Francisco and the firestorm that burned it to ashes, remains both a historical catastrophe and a warning of what is still to come.